This is Bob Barr bringing you another edition of Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, law number one, which is the world is full of idiots. Before we begin, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow Liberty Guard on social media. Now, to the Idiot of the Week. The Idiot of the Week is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, commonly known as CDC. If I'm not mistaken, they've probably won this award previously, but they continue to amaze with their idiocy. The CDC has just come out with a multi-page document that they call Preferred Terms for Select Population Groups and Communities. What this does is this tells you the politically correct terms to use for common terms that we've used for generations. So CDC tells us, and all of its many thousands of employees, that when referring to corrections and detentions, you should not use the term inmate, prisoner, convict, or ex-convict. You should say, for example, people or persons who are incarcerated or deturned. Much softer, much nicer. With regard to people with disabilities, you should not say disabled. You should say people with disabilities. Hard to tell what the difference there is, but apparently it matters a lot to the folks at CDC. Instead of referring to a drug addict as a drug addict, or an alcoholic as an alcoholic, or even a smoker, you should say, for example, people with substance use disorder, or persons in recovery from substance use, alcohol disorder. And people who smoke are the preferred, or people who smoke, it's hard to keep this straight, folks. Instead of saying smokers, you should say people who smoke. Now, it's hard to tell here again what the difference is, but apparently it matters a lot to the folks at CDC, who apparently have nothing better to do than to come up with this nonsense. The list goes on and on. You should not refer to homeless people as the homeless or as homeless people. You should say, get this, persons experiencing unstable housing or housing insecurity, or persons who are not securely housed. I don't know what that really means. Could mean people who don't have a lock on their house. I don't know, but you shouldn't say homeless. You should say people who are not securely housed. Instead of people who are poverty-stricken or who are poor, CDC recommends that you say, this is all together, people with self-reported income in the lowest income bracket. That is, if income brackets are defined. If they're not, you're just in no man's land. You can't talk about poverty-stricken people or the poor, because if you don't know what income bracket they're in, and you can't say lowest income bracket because the income brackets aren't defined, you're out of luck. You're up the creek. You got to change the subject. Instead of saying that somebody is mentally ill or crazy or insane, you should instead remember to refer to such people as people with a diagnosis of a mental illness or mental health disorder or behavioral health disorder. You got to remember all that. You can't say illegal immigrants, of course. You simply have to refer to people with undocumented status. It gets so ridiculous, and I'll conclude with this one. You can go to CDC's website and look at the whole list. It cautions people not to refer to people by their race or ethnicity. In other words, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, whites, American Indians, etc. But CDC recommends that you refer to Black persons as Black persons. Now, How that's different from what they say you shouldn't say, which is to refer to people by their race or ethnicity, e.g. black. You should say black persons, just sort of encapsulates the idiocy, the stupidity, the nonsensical nature of what CDC is doing in putting out this list. And again, you have to wonder why, with all of the things that are going on in the world that relate to diseases, which is, after all, what CDC is supposed to be looking at, is they are the Centers for Disease Control. They find time, Lord knows how many people it took to put this thing together, to put together a list of, quote, preferred terms for select population groups and communities. So, CDC is yet again our Idiot of the Week. Please be with us again next week for another edition of Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, Law Number 1, The World is Full of Idiots. Thanks for being with us. This is Bob Barr, and I'd like to thank you for having checked out our program here today, Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. We appreciate your support, your participation, and encourage you to go to libertyguard.org to learn more about our programs and also to help support to further individual freedom and fight against government abuse. One of the ways, but not the only way we do this, is through Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe, but through many, many other programs in support of individual liberty and against government abuse. So please remember to join us. Go to libertyguard.org and join us once again for Bob Barr's Laws of the Universe. Thank you.